Spencer. Let's go and have some adventures. Let's go and have some adventures with Thomas. Let's go and have some adventures. Sodor's a fun place to be. Sodor's greatest adventures. Sodor's greatest adventures.
One day, Doug the Great Western Engine was pouring his slip coaches. Great Western Engine coming down the tracks, he said proudly, until James the Red Engine came up with his slip coaches. Hello, Duck, he said. It's popping down the tracks, are we? Good morning, James, said Duck. How are we today on Cromsgate branch line? Good. What about the Great Western branch line? Doing good. Or the Little Western, as everyone likes to call it. But thank you very much, James, said Duck. Look, I can see you have your slip coaches, don't you? Of course, I see you have yours, but that probably doesn't mean my one. But that doesn't mean your ones are the best. What are you saying? Said Duck. I mean, I have the best coaches after all, said James. Besides, I am the most splendid engine with the most splendid branch line on the island of Sodor. I thought you promised you never do things like. I thought you would never show off again after your race with Rosie. And I thought the fucking controller told you to stop doing the Great Western ways after, I don't know, falling into the sea. See? Well, Henry crashed. Oh, so you want to have a race then? Said Duck. I don't know. Maybe yes, said James. It's on. First one to the next station wins. You're on, said James. The two engines raced down the main line. James took the lead since he is a faster engine than Duck, but Duck was catching up. Gosh, said the two engines as they went faster and faster. They went everywhere around the island. They were getting close to Crosby. Aha, I'm taking the lead, said Duck. James knew Duck was going to make a mistake. Shouldn't you uncouple your coach by now? He said. Duck saw the platform on Crosby. Oh no, he said, and he applied his brakes. But unfortunately, he didn't release the coach. It looks like I am better than you after all. You may have more experience than me, but it seems my skills are better than yours. Duck groaned. He said. James was at it again, in a sharp mood, he said crossly. Later that day, James popped into Knapford, on platform 2 beside Duck. So, I believe we have a loser of the race then? You cheated, said Duck. Did not, said James. I had to pass Crosby. I wasn't stopping now. Of course, said Duck. Of course it had to be that way. James just groaned. Besides, said James, everyone knows I am coming down the tracks. Oh, is that so? Said Duck. Then how come we don't have GWR, our logo like mine? You should have a Northwestern Railway logo on it. Ned groaned James. It's like Rebecca's tender. Oh, is that so? Said Duck. Then why do you have nameplates of you then? You don't have shiny nameplates like mine, said James. Duck groaned. Hee, said James. That was a good one. Gordon and Spencer were watching. Oh dear, said Spencer. I think Duck and James are arguing who has the best slip coaches. Doesn't it remind you that time when we had our last rivalry? Said Gordon, when we got the wrong coaches during the U years. Don't remind me, said Spencer. So I wished I never went on your platform and took your express. And I wished I never took your special train, said Gordon. But that's all finished now, said Spencer. At least our rivalry is finished. However, James and Duck were still arguing. Besides, everyone would know my name, even like when Fuzzy one time tried to read my nameplate. Dogs don't even read, said Duck. Besides, everyone knows my name. I may be called Monkey. My real name might be called Monkey, but everybody knows my name, Duck. 'Cause you waddle? No, that everyone's good at remembering. When you just need nameplates so that everyone can remember your name, like Spencer or Don or Douglas have, or even Rebecca. James groaned. He had enough of Duck. Well, it is for blind people. How will blind people know your name if you don't have nameplates? Duck groaned. He looked away, and James looked away from Duck. The two of them looked away from each other. Their friendship was about to start tearing apart. Later that day in the afternoon, Duck arrived at Knapford. He was delivering some very important people. They were from the Great Western Railway. They came across over the main bridge from Vickerstown on one of Cotton and Caitlin's fast high-speed passenger trains, and Duck was sent to collect them from Vickerstown with his slip coaches. Welcome, sirs, said the fat controller. Well, welcome to the railway. We are all honored to have you here. Thank you, said Topham. Now, can we may go to your office, please, and discuss more there? Certainly, said the fat controller. They walked away. Duck smiled. So they're here to inspect my branch line, he said. Who has the best branch line now, James? He said. Later that day, Duck was meant to pick up the passengers from the same platform he arrived on yesterday. Not platform 1, but platform 2. However, the problem was that was the one James was on. Hey, said James. Move out of the way, Duck. I need to get through, he said crossly. But this is my platform, James. You had to be on platform 1, don't you? No, I need to be on platform 2. That's where my slip coaches are being delivered to. But I'm sure no one will mind if you're being put on platform 1. I'm sure the yards will know what slip coaches you have. They are red, after all. Fine, said James. Silly Great Western engine, he grumbled to himself. Huh, what a silly red engine, he said. Duck said. But trouble was about to start. Over at the other end of Knapford, Toby and Emmett were there. Spencer and Gordon were there again too. They were telling them about James and Duck's rivalry. Oh dear, said Toby, that's not good. Oh, said Edward. But now there's gotta be an excellent situation about this, said Edward. But I mean, why are they competing who has the best slip coaches? That I don't know, said Spencer. It began yesterday or something. We saw them arriving here in Knapford for yesterday morning, said Gordon, and they were like that. We don't know why. I'm sure Oliver or the Scottish twins can talk some sense into Duck, and I'm sure Henry can talk some sense into James. Don't forget, Henry is James' best friend after all. That's a fair point, said Toby. Agreed, said Gordon and Spencer. Maybe, if they're coming back in Knapford, we could maybe have a talk to ourselves. Very well then, said Edward and Toby. However, the problem was about to strike. Then there was trouble. Both Stafford and Stanley were shunting between James and Duck's slip coaches. Neither of them knew that they had. However, the two of them, of course, did have the correct slip coaches, but the problem was James and Duck were on the wrong platforms. Stanley shunted to James' slip coaches behind Duck, and Stafford shunted Duck's slip coaches into James. Lord Duck or James didn't know this. Stafford and Stanley didn't know either. About the time the guards blew the whistle for the two engines puffed away. Duck had James' passengers just for James' branch line, and James had the very important people that Duck was meant to pick up for Duck's branch line. They're going to expect Duck's branch line, but the two of them didn't know they had the wrong coaches. Just Edward, Spencer, Gordon, and Toby were surprised. Duck, James, stop! They said. Stanley and Stafford heard the noise. What happened? They said. You gave them the wrong slip coaches, said Edward. But Duck slip coaches were for Duck, weren't they? Said Stanley. Yeah, and I was shunting James. Yeah, and Stanley was shunting James's coaches. What on about? The orange explained. So is it really our fault? No, said Edward. But it's Duck and James worried about slip coaches, and Duck took the platform James was meant to be on, so it's none of you two faults. I'm taking a goods train to Duck's branch line later, said Stafford. Maybe I can try and see what's going on there, he said. Alright then, and Duck and Stafford raced off. Throughout the entire day, Duck and James were racing around the island. James stopped at Marin, one of the stations on his branch line with Duck's slip coaches. I showed that Duck no bother. Nobody can beat me. But just then, Duck was racing down the main line with James's slip coaches. James saw Duck. Wait a minute, those are my slip coaches, he said. Duck, what are you doing with my slip coaches? But Duck didn't hear James. That's funny, said the Fat Controller, who was also on board Duck's train. This isn't part of Duck's branch line. James heard the Fat Controller's voice. So? The Fat Controller looked out. James, what are you doing with Duck's coaches? And this is not Duck's branch line. Oh no, said James. There must have been a mix-up. The inspectors for Duck's branch line were not happy. I'm sorry for this, apologize, said Fat Controller. This matter will be acceded to immediately. James, forward that green tank engine, or pannier tank engine as they call it. Yes, sir, said James, and James raced off. James was soon on Duck's branch line. Duck was speeding down the line, down by the beach, but James tried to catch up. There was a signal up ahead. Oliver was there with Toad, taking Toad to the next goods train they were picking up, and Henry was also there when they heard the two engines racing down the line. Oh, here comes Duck and James, Oliver. I heard Duck was meant to be bringing inspectors today to check our branch line. Good for you. You, said Henry. I wonder would there be one for James' branch line, he said. But when the two engines saw Duck and James getting closer and closer, so they saw Duck and James' slip coaches. They look like Mr. James' slip coaches, said Toad. But that's not Duck's slip coaches. They're all brown, aren't they? Yes. That's James' slip coaches, said Henry. His slip coaches are red. James raced by with the other slip coaches, which were Ducks. It does mean, are we seeing things, said Oliver. I have no idea, said Henry. Nor me, said Toad. Meanwhile, at the next station, the station where Duck and Oliver talked about Bogie one time when Bogie first came. Don and Douglas were there taking a goods train, and they heard Duck's whistle. But the problem was, Duck was going so fast. Hello, Duck, said Donald and Douglas, but Duck didn't reply. Wait a minute, said Douglas. They look like young James Laddie's slip coaches, don't they? You're right. If that's James' slip coaches, then James raced by blowing his whistle. Huh. Very weird, isn't it? Yes, said Douglas. Yes, said Douglas. It is. Doug soon puffed into Titman Halt. All right then. Here's our next station. We'll be stopping here for me to take on water and coal, he said. James soon raced in. I never knew you were fast for a tank engine. Wait a minute, James, what are you doing on my branch line? You should be on yours by now, shouldn't you? That's the thing, said James. We have the wrong slip coaches. Indeed, said a voice. The back controls stooped out of a duck slip coaches that James was pulling, including the very important people that were expecting Duck's branch line. So it seems you decided to give the tour today, James, wasn't it? So there's an easy explanation for it. Oh, is there? Duck and James gulped. All right, sir, we'll tell you. Duck and James explained about the library. The Fat Controller was very cross. It seems the two of you have been acting like Gordon and Spencer where they got the wrong coaches. Well, very sorry, sir. I'm sorry I took that platform. And I'm sorry I called you saying you didn't have any nameplates, said James. It doesn't matter who has the best slip coaches, said the Fat Controller. What more important is that the two of you have your own branch lines to run with your slip coaches, and you also have Obi and Nathan, James. I know, sir. The two of you will immediately change your coaches immediately. Duck and James gulped. Stafford came into Tipman Holt Yard with a goods train. Ah, looks like I was right after all, he said. Looks like me and Stanley did got the wrong coaches. It wasn't your fault, said Duck. It was ours. Indeed, said James. Well, me and Stanley didn't know anyway about your switch. It wasn't meant to happen, though, said James. Ah, well, said Stafford. We all know from our mistakes. And Stafford rode into the yards. Later that evening, James and Duck puffed into Stafford's yard. Oliver told Stafford and Stanley, the rest of the family members, Spencer, Gordon, and the Scottish twins were there waiting for them. We are sorry about our rivalry today, said James, and thanks to all you trying your best trying to tell us about our mix-up, even though we didn't listen. I think this got too much into your heads, said Edward. Oh well, we know of our mistakes, said Toby. We do, said Henry. It's like me and Spencer. Yes, said Spencer, but our rivalry's finished now, and you two should end yours. Aye, said Donald. It's best to end it. Yes, said Douglas. We don't care who has the best slip coaches either. And we don't mind. And we don't mind if you two, and we all don't mind if you guys think you're the best, said Oliver. But if we were to get slip coaches of our own, said Stafford, I think we could all know who to ask, said Stanley. He winked at James and Duck. Duck and James smiled. I'm sure me and James would love to train you all if you ever get slip coaches one of these days. Yes, said James. Everyone chuckled. Duck and James has done a great deal of lesson about slip coaches, haven't they? I think they won't have any more of this slip coaches rivalry. Don't you?
Let's go on and have some adventures with Thomas and Norris when so